Right, Stephen, and okay. Thanks very much.
5 words.
Now, this is too easy.
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith goes to Washington.
You being posted or something?
No, they're just being silly. Don't pay any attention.
The whole thing? Oh, dear.
Planet of the Apes, was it? Oh, sorry. No, obviously not. The Elephant Man.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Very good. Mom.
You mean Notre Dame, don't you?
Oh, shut up. Now, as a punishment, you are it.
Go on.
Okay, you are. Okay,
First word. How many words? 6 words.
Six words.
6. First word.
Here.
Here.
Everyone's asking for you. Do you want me to help you get dressed?
If I wanted to get dressed, I'd do it myself. I'm not a cripple.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but what am I meant to tell them?
Whatever you usually tell them. I'm sure you'll find something diplomatic.
Jane, it's informal. I arranged it like that because I thought that would be easier for you.
No, you thought it would be fun for Harriet.
Fun for everyone.
I'm 45 years old and I feel like I'm going on 75.
You don't. You look great.
Piss off.
Please, Jane.
You should have told people I'd had a stroke.
It was your idea not to tell them.
You liar!
You said you didn't want to.
You lying bastard! All you care about is yourself.
Let's not fight, Jane.
I'm warning you, keep away from me.
I'm trying to look after you. It's been a strain on both of us. Why do you have to be like this?
To the extradition. On behalf of the Attorney General's office.
You're not going to make a speech, are you?
Typical barrister.
Tomorrow, God willing, Martin Casey will finally be handed over to us to stand trial in England. And yes, finally, I'll be out of here.
I'll drink to that.
Ignore them, David. I'll miss you. I've loved having you here.
Thank you. Do I detect that you've been awarded an honour? You've been made a dame?
They're pulling your leg. It's a rumour. Honestly.
My career is on the line here. No wonder I didn't get the ambassador's job in Chile. Where do you think I go from here?
I don't care. Don't blame me.
Don't you dare break that.
Look, let go of me. I'll scream.
I'm telling you, Jane. I've had enough.
Mrs. Mack, may I have my coat, please? I'll get it.
I'll come with you.
Anybody seen Stephen?
No, I haven't. No.
Let's see if he's all right. Oh, you're both leaving already?
No, just me.
Stephen? Stephen? Everything all right?
Jane's got a headache. Another migraine.
Oh, poor thing, not again.
I know, and she was so looking forward to tonight.
Maybe the letter's arrived confirming her reward.
The man is dying. Now, what's to be gained by pursuing him through the courts?
I'll convey that to London.
Oh, I intend to do that direct. This extradition is wrong.
Where's Stephen?
He isn't here yet.
This is his brief and I want him here now.
I'll check to see if he's left a message.
Martin Casey has been rushed to hospital and Minister Flaherty wants to halt the extradition.
Casey's not that ill, it's a stunt. A last-ditch attempt to avoid prosecution. Flaherty must know that.
6 men died in the Aldershot bombing. Doesn't matter how ill Casey is, he should stand trial.
No message from Stephen and nothing in the diary.
Where is he then?
Good morning. I'm the ambassador's PA. Mr. Tyler's not here at the moment. Can I be of any help?
Something's happened to Stephen. What? We're in my office.
Close the door. Something terrible's happened. Jane Tyler's dead.
Oh my God.
How?
In her sleep.
Was she ill?
No, she was a diabetic.
God, no wonder she didn't appear last night.
And the Gardaí can't find Stephen.
Well, he must be in shock. He's probably taken himself off somewhere.
John, will you see if you can?
Sure.
Make sure he's all right. And Catherine, will you go to the house and help him with things there?
I'll make the necessary arrangements. I'm the British Consul General. Can you tell me which mortuary she's being taken to, please?
She'll be going to the pathology lab at St. Vincent's. I'm D.S. Slater. I'm overseeing police matters.
You're a detective.
Yeah.
It's terrible, Mr. Stone.
Did you see him this morning?
No.
His bed slept in.
No. Did you find him?
No. It seems he and Jane had a fight last night. The Gardaí have assigned a detective. The housekeeper says she saw bruising on Jane's wrists and arms.
The thing is, when I last spoke to Jeremy about it, he felt the trouble.
Stephen.
Hi, morning. How are you?
Yes.
Stephen,
This is a surprise. I didn't know you were attending the meeting.
when you weren't at morning prayers this morning, I assumed...
Oh, Ambassador, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I meant to ring you. I'd arranged with David to go through the affidavit over breakfast.
Could I have a word with you outside?
Of course.
Would you excuse us, please, gentlemen?
David, how are you? So,
Are you all right?
I am sorry about this morning.
Stephen, I have some terrible news for you. Jane died this morning. Your housekeeper found her in bed.
I see.
I'm so sorry, Stephen. Is there anything I can do?
I'll have to contact her family. Do you know her?
In her sleep.
But I don't understand. She was getting better.
I didn't realize she was so ill.
She'd had a stroke about a year ago.
I had no idea.
Yes.
Did you not see her this morning?
We'd had separate rooms since the illness. She hasn't been sleeping well. I didn't look in on her. I don't, as a habit.
If there's anything I can do...
Thank you, Mrs. Mack.
There are a few circumstances surrounding your wife's death that we're not clear about.
Was it a stroke?
Well, we're keeping that as a possibility.
You think there might have been some other cause?
We're still waiting on the pathologist's report. There was a syringe at her bedside.
She was diabetic. She needed regular injections of insulin. It was the reason she'd had a stroke at such a young age. Diabetics have a higher risk.
How would you describe her mood when you last saw her?
We'd had a bit of a falling out, but we'd made up and everything was fine.
I had noticed there was a few things broken. She had some bruises.
She bruised very easily. Is that it?
For the moment, sir. But I will need to ask you for your fingerprints for the purposes of elimination.
Is that routine?
In cases like this, sir, yes.
From Chile.
Have you noticed how few personal tributes there are?
There were some sent to his house.
I don't think either of them had many real friends. Stephen's a very private man. I hardly know him.
I never met her at all.
She wasn't one of the tea and bridge set, I'll tell you that. Remember, we got bored at some bash and skived off to the races together.
You liked her?
Yeah, I like Stephen too.
Why'd you say that?
We better go.
The Justice Department have advised me of a potential situation.
Concerning the extradition?
Stephen Tyler. The Gardaí have some concerns about the death of his wife.
What do you mean?
Harriet, I'm trying to act as a good neighbour here and notify you in advance. Jane's death was brought on by an overdose of insulin.
She overdosed.
Except according to the forensic report, Stephen's fingerprints were found on the syringe at her bedside.
Go on.
The Gardaí are going to ask to interview Stephen formally.
Well, I want to talk to him first.
I don't want to prejudge this, but he certainly has some explaining to do.
I'm sure there's no problem with that.
Well, it's come at rather a bad time, Harriet. We don't know how this will pan out, and we have to consider the extradition.
Why? What's that got to do with it?
Well, you can't push to extradite an Irish citizen unless you get your own house in order.
So Casey gets away with it. You know that we want to bring him to trial now.
Delay the extradition and no one can say a thing.
No one can say anything now. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Stephen's done nothing wrong. Stephen, I'm sorry to bring you in.
It's no trouble. I was aware there were matters concerning the extradition that you need to be briefed on.
Stephen, I'm afraid this meeting isn't about that. I need to talk to you about Jane's death. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but she died from an overdose of insulin.
I can't believe it.
I'm so sorry, Stephen. This must come as an awful shock to you, and I hate to do this to you, but the police have asked permission to interview you. Apparently your fingerprints were found on the syringe. Is there any way that you could explain that?
Well, yes. I gave Jane her insulin shot. I do every night.
Right. Could you have given her the wrong dose?
No. No. I could virtually do it with my eyes shut. I don't understand it.
I have to make a decision, and I need to know the truth. Is there any possibility that you were responsible for Jane's death?
No.
Right. Then I think that you should cooperate with the Gardaí and tell them everything you know. And Catherine will go with you to the station.
I'll have a lawyer on hand.
I think it would be advisable if we have a conversation before they go. Stephen, could you wait outside?
What?
We know Flaherty's going to give us problems on the extradition. The Irish have been hesitant already. This is a golden opportunity for them, and they're bound to use it. Now, we can stop that if we go for diplomatic immunity and get Stephen out of the country.
No, there are no grounds
Harriet,
for that.
let's get him out now. Look at the circumstances surrounding Jane's death. Now, if he gave her the wrong dose, it's manslaughter at the very best. Then there's the fight, the bruising, the various inconsistencies in his story. We could be talking a lot worse.
We don't know that, John.
Flaherty's already suggested delaying the extradition, hasn't he? He's already tied Stephen's situation to Casey's.
There is no link.
That changes the minute Stephen's charged. Now, you're looking at a situation where a senior British diplomat is on trial for murder in a foreign country. That'll be deeply embarrassing for Britain.
If he's charged.
If you invoke diplomatic immunity, you won't be.
Even if I accept that, what happens to Stephen?
Well, he'll escape prosecution. The investigation will be terminated.
No. No, he has to have an opportunity to prove his innocence. If I invoke immunity, he'll be thrown out of the Foreign Office, and he'd live the rest of his life under a cloud of suspicion.
Better than living behind bars.
John, this man has just lost his wife, and you want me to end his career? I'm not going to do that.
We can't be seen to be allowing our people to circumvent Irish law while we extradite their citizens to Britain to face trial. We can't have both those stories sharing the front page of the Irish Times. That's a PR disaster. I agree with the ambassador.
Catherine, no, we must act now before there's any more evidence and before this gets out.
If it gets out that we shoved this under the carpet, we'd be humiliated.
Yes, Catherine's right. And we've kept Stephen waiting far too long. Stephen.
I'm sure Mrs. Mack will testify that I routinely gave Jane her nighttime dose.
Why? Why didn't Jane do it herself?
It was her hand. Just after the stroke, she found it difficult, so I started to do it for her. Her hand improved, but it had become part of the routine, one of the things I felt I could do for her.
Well, that explains your fingerprints, sir. How do you explain the overdose?
I don't know.
According to her doctor, Mrs. Tyler was on 2 types of insulin. Am I right?
4 to 8 units of fast-acting during the day and 20 units of slow-acting at night.
Well, did you mistakenly give her 20 units of the fast-acting that evening?
No.
Had you much to drink that night, Mr. Tyler?
Well, I'd hosted a party.
So you're saying you'd had quite a bit?
No, why?
You were drunk, am I right?
That isn't what happened.
Tell me what did happen. Tell me how you gave your wife the wrong dose.
Can't we have a break? I think the line of questioning has become a little overbearing.
I wish to speak to the ambassador. I want to be returned to the embassy. I claim diplomatic immunity.
Right. What's going on, Stephen?
I'm asking you to grant me diplomatic immunity. I think I'm in trouble.
Do you want to tell me?
It's the fight I had with Jane. I was upset. I must have started drinking. I had a lot to drink, so much so I can't remember what happened.
You mean you had some kind of blackout?
We had this huge row. It's all I know.
What else do you remember?
I think I must have gone out somewhere. I know I left the house because when I woke this morning I was on St. Stephen's Green. I was lying under the Wolfe Tone Memorial. I thought I cut my head as a result of falling over on the green, but I don't know.
I'll take that for you.
I love Jane. But it was a stroke. We just couldn't talk anymore. She couldn't always articulate her thoughts. Her memory disintegrated. She became confused and irritable. It just got harder and harder. I lost my patience with her. I'm asking you, Ambassador, please. Please, Ambassador.
Why didn't you tell me all this before?
It was a mistake, Ambassador. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want to admit that I'd lost control in such an unprofessional manner.
Is it important?
I'm sorry. I think it needs your attention.
What is it?
That was RTE. They're doing a big piece tonight on Casey's pending extradition. They've invited us to put forward a representative. It's Stephen's brief.
Well, tell them I'll cover the debate. And Susan, will you find out what time I'm needed at the studio?
Of course.
Did Stephen add to his story?
No.
Do you believe it?
The Gardaí won't. And you are going to have to look after him for a while.
Of course.
I need to take advice from London.
You know, they'll just say it's up to you.
Let's see what you can remember, shall we?
Why do I bother? Because he's a diplomat, he thinks he can get away with murder. Literally murder.
What about your boss?
Yeah, he can't do anything.
Somebody's got to be able to do something. I know some people. It won't come back to you.
Evening, sir.
Hello, Kevin.
Evening, Harriet. So, I'll see you in the ring. Good luck.
And you.
Where do you think I go from here?
I don't care. Why'd you have to be like this?
I'm telling you, Jane. I've had enough.
Let go of me!
I'll get it for you. Hello. He's not available. Who is this? Where did you get this information from? He has no comment to make.
The news is leaked. We have to warn Harriet. Because the papers have got it, they've just been on the phone.
Prices can be higher than London's Mayfair, but latest figures show that Donnybrook and
Ambassador. Producer. Have a good night. Thank you for coming by so quickly. Very good. Show receipts. Ambassador, this is Hilary. Who'll be popping the questions this evening.
Good evening.
Your name is not on the list.
I need to speak to the ambassador before she goes on air now.
There is no admission.
Look, this is urgent.
Put me through to the producer. I want to speak to him.
30 seconds.
Happy, everyone? Everything's okay.
Control room.
Stand by in studio. Coming back to camera 1.
Hello?
We've lost the auto cue.
Damn it. Hang on, please. They're busy up there.
Hey! Hey! Come back here!
And I'm also joined by the British ambassador, Harriet Smith. You're asking the Irish government to deliver up a terminally ill man for trial in Britain. The question is, why are you still pursuing this?
Because Martin Casey has been...
Stay on singles here between 1 and 3. Coming to 1 next.
In which 6 people were killed.
Down 1 next.
I want to speak to the producer.
Quiet.
This is live.
And one point is, he's dying. It seems unjustifiably vindictive.
Mr. Casey is an innocent man. There has been nothing proven against him. And there is another issue. Can I ask you for your comments on tomorrow's headlines, Ambassador? This story that a member of your staff is to be granted exemption from prosecution.
That is a separate issue.
Oh, but you can confirm that the story is true.
I'm here to talk about Martin Casey.
The story is that he's been arrested in connection with the sudden death of his wife. Are
Take
you
2.
aware of this, Mr.
Pan on 3. Coming to 3.
I'm not in a position to make any comment.
Oh, but you see the relevance. It appears to be one set of laws for us, another for them.
The fact is, if the ambassador wishes to invoke immunity, there is nothing we can do. A diplomatic immunity is between the diplomat and his embassy.
So you're not saying it has no bearing on this situation?
If the report is true, in the context of the extradition, I would take a dim view of their actions. I'd also find it peculiar that a legal system largely inherited from Britain, I might add, would be seen not to be acceptable.
There's no suggestion of that.
Then why invoke immunity?
I was asked on this program to discuss Martin Casey. Are you going to invoke immunity?
No. No. We have complete faith in the Irish justice system.
And that's all we have time for. Tomorrow our guest will be Eddie Irvine. And we'll be discussing attempts to set up an Irish Grand Prix. Good night.
Thank you very much, everyone.
We tried to warn you.
You can complain. You can complain to...
Did you know about this?
She was after me as much as you. I didn't say anything I wouldn't say to your face. Now, come on, I'll buy you a drink.
I must talk to Stephen.
Now, don't blame me, Harriet.
Stephen? I'm sorry. Sorry. Sorry to call on you this late. I need your help.
Sure, yeah. Come in, Harry, come in. How did Stephen take it?
I let him down.
Well, what could you do?
The Guardia are waiting to re-interview him, and if he can't account for what happened, then he lays himself open to any charge they might care to make.
Give me some guidelines. What do you want?
Anything. Anything that'll help. But I want the truth. And I don't want you to go beyond the law.
Well, I'm hardly likely to do that. Not now I know I'm not going to get diplomatic immunity. You realise the FCO are going to be furious.
Immunity would have been disaster. You saw that interview.
Yeah. Oh, Catherine was right, but Stephen being charged as a murderer would be just as bad.
We must never let it come to that.
As soon as I have anything, I'll let you know.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
You were in no condition to give her medication. Isn't that true? Isn't that true, Mr. Tyler? Yes or no?
He can't remember. Surely it's unreasonable to expect him to comment on his condition at the time.
So, you went walkabout. Where?
I woke up on St. Stephen's Green just after 6, that's all I know.
Any witnesses?
I was lying by the memorial. Someone would have seen me.
Do you want me to go door to door till I find someone?
Did you see anyone, Stephen? Anyone who could verify this?
Then I've two possibilities. Either you were so drunk you've no idea how you killed your wife, or you know you killed her, and you think this story about your going out that night is going to give you some kind of an alibi.
That's not true.
It wasn't an accident, was it?
How can you say that?
Because of the evidence. By your own admission, you'd had a violent row with your wife that night. And it wasn't one injection that killed her. It was two. I'm now formally charging you with the murder of your wife. For that you, the said accused, Stephen Tyler, did on the 14th of September 1998 at St. Mary's, Albert Road, Upper Glenageary, in the Dublin Metropolitan District, did murder Jane Tyler, contrary to common law.
Stephen's been charged. They've revealed that there were 2 injections.
Yeah, I know. I've got details of the post-mortem report. The second injection, the one that actually killed Jane, was administered somewhere between 2:30 and 3:30 a.m.
Well, then Stephen couldn't be responsible. He said he wasn't at home then.
But the Guardia aren't going to accept his word for that. And you can understand their suspicion. Stephen has got to provide evidence of where he was.
Well, we can do that. We can find out where he was.
Did the police take the clothes Mr. Tyler was wearing that night?
Well, they wanted to, but the problem was I'd washed them. Well, he left them all over the floor in the bathroom. I didn't know.
Did police show any interest in this?
No?
Surprised you didn't wash it.
I didn't think to look at it. Sugar? Is that all there is in there?
It's not bad. There's one near St. Stephen's Green.
Well, how do you know he got it that night? That could have been lying in his pocket for weeks.
Except under normal circumstances, I don't think Mr. Tyler's exactly the fast food type.
How are you feeling?
I want to see her.
I'm afraid that's not going to be possible for a while.
I want to make sure she's wearing something nice. There's a particular dress.
I'll go to the house. Stephen? Why did you keep her illness such a secret?
It was Jane's idea. It's not easy being a diplomat's wife. She didn't feel she could accompany me or entertain.
You should have told us. We would have understood.
I got angry with her. It was me. I was to blame. Jane knew. I was scared that she'd let me down. I never said that. But she knew me.
You must have been under terrible pressure.
I didn't do it, Catherine.
It was an accident. Stephen, if it was an accident, it isn't murder. No one, except maybe the Gardaí, thinks that you deliberately killed her. You're turning this into something that it isn't, and putting additional strain on yourself. I know it isn't easy to admit. It takes courage. Everyone sympathizes with you. But it would be better for you, for all concerned, if we could have this over and done with very quickly.
Is that what Harriet thinks?
She would never say that. But she doesn't want you to be found guilty of murder.
You seen this guy in here?
Yeah, I remember the guy.
You do?
Yeah, he had the staggers. He was well blasted. He was bleeding from his head.
Do you remember when he was in here?
Look, all I know is he ordered a cup of coffee and put most of it on the floor.
Yeah, but was it midnight? Was it dawn?
I don't know.
Come on, help me here.
I've got no idea.
Well, think about your rota. Was it before your tea break or after? And if he spilled coffee, who cleaned it up? Come on, think.
It was before about 1:30.
You sure it wasn't any later than that?
No way. My shift ends at 2.
It's my understanding that if someone's been charged, they can't be re-interviewed.
This is not an interview. He's asked to make a statement.
Stephen, you don't have to do this.
Can I remind you, Ambassador, you were invited to attend as an observer. Also present is the British Ambassador, Harriet Smith. Now, Mr. Tyler, in your own time, if you'd like to tell us what did happen the night your wife died.
I don't fully remember what happened. I believe I know. I had a row with my wife. The party had finished, but I carried on drinking. I was upset. I think, as I said previously, I don't completely recall. But following the party, Jane and I had a row. We'd had a few rows recently. It was all stupid. So unnecessary. We both knew that. And afterwards we made up. We always did. I helped to put her to bed as usual. I can't recall giving Jane her injection. And I know I did. I'd had a lot to drink at the party and I was upset by the fight, the row. So I left the house. I felt I needed some fresh air, a walk. And I continued drinking. I was so drunk. I got home. Because I didn't remember the first injection. I gave Jane. I didn't mean to. I gave her a second injection. It was an accident.
He's confessed.
Damn it, we should have gone for immunity.
Is that all you're here to say?
I'm not blaming you.
And that's it, is it?
You're taking this the wrong way.
Tell me what you found out.
Okay. Went to a couple of bars, he bought a coffee. The problem is, all of the sightings are before 2:30 a.m.
Just have to keep looking. There must be someone who saw him on St. Stephen's Green that morning.
I've tried, I can't find anyone.
Keep trying.
Harriet. His story doesn't add up. If he was there all night, somebody would have seen him. And this handy alcoholic blackout he claims he had, for that kind of blanket amnesia, Stephen would have had to have been so drunk, he'd been literally comatose.
You think his story's a cover-up?
I think he's lying.
You get out there and keep looking.
Are you all right, Ambassador?
Well, I've just shouted at John, so perhaps you better keep out of my way.
Why? What happened?
Stephen's confessed. He's lost all faith in his own innocence. He's taken on board everything that the police have said.
You still feel he's innocent?
Don't you?
I trust Stephen completely. Although I think he did conceal quite a lot from us to start off with, and that surprised me.
Maybe.
Also, he wasn't honest about Jane's illness.
Yes. But I can understand that. Sometimes it's easier not to make things public. I hope it's not because of me.
I don't think so.
Catherine, I'm not going to pretend that I don't know about you and John.
Ambassador, we never meant to keep that from you. There's been so much going on, there was never the right moment.
That's fine by me, but I don't want you to conceal it on my account.
Not at all.
I'd like to think that we can be open with each other.
So would I.
You do believe that Stephen's innocent, don't you?
Of course.
Why? 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 Why?
What happened?
I'm sorry about this.
Stephen.
Leave it be.
Stephen. Stephen, why are you doing this to yourself?
I've embarrassed the embassy.
No, you haven't.
I've let everyone down.
No, you've always been a credit to the embassy. You haven't.
I'll resign.
I won't let you. Listen to me. I believe in you. And I want you to hold on to that. Why did you confess?
It was the right thing to do.
It isn't the right thing to do if you didn't do it. And I don't think you did. This wound. You got it the night Jane died, yes? Where was it treated? Stephen, you've got stitches. Where did you get them?
He was in casualty from about 2 o'clock that night. According to the hospital, no one knows quite what happened to him. He looks to have had a fall. He could have been knocked over, but the ambulance brought him to St. Mary's, and he discharged himself at 4 a.m. That explains where he was that night.
So it was the fall that caused the amnesia, not the drink.
I'm sorry this has taken so long to resolve, but I'm sure you understand.
Is it resolved? He was not responsible for his wife's death.
He couldn't have administered the second injection.
Poor Jane. She must have been confused and done it herself.
Misadventure.
Why didn't you find her fingerprints on the syringe?
We did.
Shouldn't you have made that clear?
We thought he might have placed them on the syringe afterwards.
So you thought it was murder in cold blood?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You must be very disappointed, dear Slater.
I don't have a problem letting an innocent man go. I'm very sorry for everything, Mr. Tyler. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Thank you for your support.
I'm so pleased, Mr. Tyler. Ambassador, a letter's come from the FCO. It has a privacy marking on it.
Susan, can you telephone Eileen and ask her to prepare a room at the residence for Mr. Tyler?
Of course.
Stephen, I'm so glad. It's fantastic news. Mr. Flaherty left a message for you. The Justice Department have agreed to the extradition subject to a medical report.
Good.
As you weren't available, I passed on the information to David Hartson, who's already spoken to a Home Office medical examiner, who doubts Casey will last more than a few weeks.
Well, that's justice of a kind, I suppose. Well done anyway, Catherine.
I'm going to go now.
Stephen, where are you going? You know your job's secure. I'll arrange compassionate leave for you. The FCO will look after you. Stephen, I want you back.
I'm going to see Jane.
I'll come with you.
No. Thank you, Ambassador.
Don't you want to see this?